introduce yourself?
Awesome. Thank you for having me today, Mahmoud. So today is my first Binance Academy webinar that I'm participating the first time here. So super excited about it. And I think you brought a very, very interesting topic, or actually two topics today with you. So maybe you just want to go ahead and tell the audience what you brought me today. So today is my first Binance Academy webinar that I'm participating in.
So
super excited about it.
Before starting, we just want to share something very useful. We want to share something very useful with you. Just a second, we have some technical problems here. So we have Binance launched 2 days ago, Binance Sensei. So before starting, so it's basically your personal guide to the world of Web3, blockchain, and crypto. So it's powered by advanced AI technology, ChatGPT. So we train ChatGPT with the data of our Binance Academy library of over 1,000 articles, and all courses are available. And it's also has been trained by our crypto and blockchain experts inside the company. So obviously Binance Sensei is not perfect yet. However, we are still working on improving it, but please try it and check it out. Also, we said that every time we're gonna say hello in a different language. So last time we had someone from Turkey when we covered Web3 and the metaverse. So this time we say marhaba to all the users from Turkey and elsewhere. So, so let's get right into it. So let me just. All right, so again, we have NFTs. So I'm going to cover, I'm going to tell you something about the fundamentals of NFTs. Volkan is going to introduce you to GameFi. So this module will introduce you to non-fungible tokens. Again, NFT is a type of cryptographic token that represents a unique asset. So NFTs, they form the basis for one of the critical components of Web3, the ability to own, manage, and transfer digital assets and digital versions of various assets, exactly. So here you can see a short overview of the modules that we're going to cover. So first, again, the difference between non-fungible versus fungible. Then secondly, why do people actually create NFTs? We're going to highlight also the NFT use cases and what gives NFTs value. So why are many NFTs so expensive? And lastly, such as the last webinars we did, we cover each module with a quiz. So when we talk about NFTs, we need to understand the difference between non-fungible versus fungible. So a non-fungible token or NFT is a type of cryptographic token representing a unique asset that are verified on a blockchain. So NFTs are tokenized certificates of digital or real-world assets, and they can represent such a piece of artwork. It can be a tweet or a video clip. And they function as verifiable proofs of authenticity and ownership using a blockchain network. So NFTs are non-fungible, which means that they are interchangeable with each other, and thus they have its own value. And their value is based, on various factors such as scarcity, authenticity, and demand. For example, if we pick, for instance, music can be an NFT, it can be tweets, can be collectibles, artwork, or even virtual real estate. Essentially, any digital asset that has unique characteristics can be authenticated and represented as an NFT. On the contrary, all fiat currencies And most cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether are fungible. So being fungible means any or an asset's individual unit are interchangeable and indistinguishable from each other, making them a perfect medium of exchange. So basically, each token has the same value and can be exchanged for another token of the same type without any loss of value. And just to give you kind of some examples, we have banknotes, you have commodities such as gold, silver, and the cryptocurrencies that I've mentioned before, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even like shares of stock. There are also examples for being fungible. Just a question to Volkan to make it a bit interactive. Are there any famous NFT collection you are familiar with?
Of course, there are several. However, I mean, in the scope of this webinar, I'm not going to name names, but you have here two very popular ones listed. But yeah, definitely there's a large amount of NFT collections, and I think the market overall is going different type of cycles. You mentioned different type of variety of NFTs, and each market cycle has different type of NFTs, I think, in terms of like popularity.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And just to wrap up this slide, so again, the main difference between fungible and non-fungible tokens is that fungible tokens, they're interchangeable, while non-fungible tokens, they are unique and non-interchangeable. So you might ask yourself, why do people actually create NFTs? So Bitcoin provide a solution to the problem of double spending that we also have covered in the last webinars. So people were able to make copies of digital goods and profit easily from them. So for example, pirated movies or copied software. So centralized systems to reduce double spending were created, but Bitcoin was like the first decentralized trustless system that didn't rely on any central administrative authority. So NFTs, they take the idea of digital scarcity further. So unlike cryptocurrencies, NFTs are, again, individually unique and are therefore a great solution for representing ownership of unique assets. And that's why NFTs are often referred to as crypto collectibles. While it is like still possible to copy, of course, digital goods, NFTs make it very easy to determine whether someone selling or distributing a copy of a digital asset of its real owner. So NFTs, they are primarily used to represent ownership of digital items, although they can also certify ownership of physical items in the real world. So similar to cryptocurrencies, they can be traded, as Volkan already mentioned, in open marketplaces. So OpenSea is the largest NFT marketplace offering a wide variety of digital assets. But it's worth noting that the value of each NFT is unique. So both cryptocurrencies and NFT prices are volatile, so be cautious if you invest in them. So let's move forward with NFT use cases. So NFTs, they have the potential obviously to be one of the critical components of a blockchain-powered digital economy and Web3. So they could be used in many different fields, such as video games, digital identity, licensing, ticketing, etc., the ones listed there on the slide. If we pick, for instance, digital identity, so again, it can be used as a digital identity credentials, so providing, for instance, secure and tamper-proof of identity or ownership. If we look at video games that Volkan is going to cover later on, so it can be used, for instance, NFTs to represent in-game items, such as weapons, armor, and virtual real estate. So it can represent unique digital assets that can be used across multiple games. If we have a look at ticketing, so it can be used to represent event tickets. So allowing basically organizers to control the distribution and resale of tickets while also providing secure and verifiable proof of ownership. And lastly, if we have a look at fractional ownership, so this allows basically investors to purchase a share of a valuable asset without having to own the entire asset, such as real estate or art. Now, again, a question to you, Volkan. What would you say is the most exciting NFT use case in your opinion?
That's a really good one, Mahmoud. So personally, I'm a gamer. I'm very excited about video games, and that's also why I'm covering the next section. Fractional ownership was also something very interesting moving forward in the future, especially when you have real world assets, such as, for example, real estate, where people who actually can't afford to buy one asset, but you can fractionalize it so that multiple people can invest in that asset. I think this is personally also something what I'm really excited about. Yeah, but overall, I think the use cases are so broad. It's very exciting to see where we are going from here, and how the market will be developed in the future. What is your personal most exciting use cases from your side?
It's actually gaming, so that's why I'm gonna touch base now on the next slide. So obviously there are like some issues within the gaming industry. So for instance, in recent years, the rise of blockchain-based games and NFTs, they have added, like, you can say, a new layer of complexity to game economies. And these games, they use NFTs to represent unique digital assets, which can be traded and sold on decentralized marketplaces. So some blockchain-based games, they even allow players to earn real-world income by playing and trading within these or within the game economy. The use of NFTs, they could mitigate basically the common problem of inflation many game economies have. So some online games, they have already built sizable game economies, which means that within these games, there exists a thriving virtual marketplace, again, where players can trade actually digital assets and virtual goods using the in-game currencies. For example, in massively multiplayer online role-playing games, such as World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, players can trade virtual items using in-game currency or real-world money. So some players even make a living by buying and selling virtual items within these game economies. Using blockchain to tokenize basically these assets is a solution to alleviate challenges such as management of game economies and proof of ownership that are listed here in the slide. And depending on the blockchain, they are minted on NFTs that could also allow players to take some of their in-game assets outside of the game ecosystem, allowing worlds to connect to each other. Moving on to the next slide. While the NFT usage is, or in the virtual world, is already flourishing, another exciting use of NFTs is the tokenization of real-world assets. So these NFTs, they can represent fractions or collections of real-world assets that can be stored and traded as tokens on a blockchain. This could introduce some well-needed liquidity to many markets that otherwise wouldn't have much liquidity, such as fine art, real estate, and rare collectible items. Let's take an example. A person may want to buy a piece of physical art to sell later, but lives on a different continent from where the artwork is currently stored. Instead of, like traditionally packing, moving, finding a new storage facility and unpacking the artwork, an NFT certificate of ownership can be minted and transferred to the new owner very easily. So easy and trustless transfers of these assets, they could reduce the frictions that we have currently in the global economy. Overall, NFTs, they provide a new way to tokenize and trade real-world assets, unlocking new opportunities for investment and commerce. As the technology continues to evolve or to develop, we are likely to see like more innovative use cases for NFTs with real-world assets. So now another use case is NFTs and digital identity. So digital identity is another sector that can benefit from the properties of NFTs, like storing identification and ownership data on the blockchain would increase privacy and data integrity, because blockchains are more data secure than centralized databases. And since blockchains, they're also trustless and verifiable, identity records will be more easily shareable across jurisdictions. For example, digital identity could enable users basically to decide when and how their information is shared. For instance, a user could store their credit card credentials in a personal wallet and then use their private key to sign a transaction that sends that information out. And this would allow them to prove they are true owners of the credit card. NFTs could be used to represent also a digital passport, like providing a secure and verifiable proof of identity that can be used across different platforms and services. And this could especially be useful in situations where traditional forms of identification may not be readily available or even accepted. So another use case is virtual land. I'm going to keep myself here very short. It can be useful for like various metaverse platforms. It has become also popular in the recent years. So NFTs are basically perfect for representing land ownership because each piece of land is unique, right? So landowners, they can use their plots to do many things, including hosting online events, displaying content, and advertising. So NFT virtual land will also likely continue to progress as we move closer to a metaverse future. And now to a very interesting question. So what gives NFTs actually value? So why would someone be willing to pay money for a digital picture when you can just save the file from the internet, right? So the value of an NFT works in a similar way to a piece of art. If you can prove that you are owning basically an original Picasso painting, then you can sell it for a lot of money or brag about your ownership. Anyone can make a copy of a Picasso painting because obviously it's in a public domain, and if it's on display, anyone can look at it. But copies and viewing access do not diminish the value actually of a Picasso. Perhaps they even enhance it. The same goes for collectibles like rare baseball cards or collectible game cards. Proof of ownership and the rights that go along with that ownership are what actually represents what NFTs are. So the most important thing you should remember about NFTs is their unique properties and potential use cases. It looks certain that NFTs are likely here to stay and become even more prevalent as we move closer to Web3. So now, as always, we have a quiz question for you. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Choose all that apply. So we're going to test your knowledge. So first, A, NFTs are cryptographic tokens that represent a unique asset. Is it B, NFTs are crypto collectibles? C, NFTs are non-interchangeable with each other. D, NFTs are individually unique. E, NFTs can be used for tokenization of real-world assets. Or lastly, is it F, all of the above? So I'm checking here the comments on Binance Live to see if you got it all correct. So I'm seeing here some answers. So some people, they say A, B, and C. All right, F. Let's wait for some more. But most of them voted for F. And yeah, F is the correct answer. It's all of the above. So this was part one. So we covered what are NFTs, and obviously NFTs and GameFi, as I've mentioned before, they are somehow interconnected. And now I would hand over to you, Volkan, to introduce our users to GameFi.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mahmoud. It was a really well start with NFTs, and of course, when we are talking about NFTs, there's coming a lot of gamification, a lot of trends in the market overall, and but not just in the market, but in the industry. So one of the things that today I want to dive deep in a little bit deeper is GameFi. So in general, today what we are talking about is what is GameFi, even what does that mean? How are players rewarded in GameFi projects that they are participating in? Types of GameFis, there's different types of models, incentives models. Then we are diving in a little bit deeper into play to earn versus pay to play. There's also other models, but I think those are the most relevant ones for us today. Then GameFi, what do you need to consider when you participate in GameFi projects? There are some key elements that needs to be taken into consideration, and then also the key elements of GameFi, what type of GameFi elements are overall involved. And then last, of course, we are going to have also one short quiz as well. So without further ado, let's get started, I would say. So GameFi is, play to earn blockchain games. Some may also refer to play and earn. And it's basically an offer that economically incentivize players. So it's the fusion of game plus finance, and then basically you bring the two elements. So some gamification game elements, but at the same time, there's also some financial aspects. So in terms of like that you can actually earn while you're playing game. And besides that, also what is very unique about GameFi projects are those are blockchain games, of course, that let players transfer the gaming items out of the virtual world and trade on marketplaces. So usually it can be NFT marketplaces. Mahmoud, you mentioned it previously, and where the user itself has actually the ownership of that assets. While for example, if you play a traditional game, you don't actually own the real NFT. The gaming company owns it, but you can basically get it out of the game, and then basically on a third party marketplace, you can basically sell your NFT. So and then from there, so DeFi and NFTs, that goes also hand in hand. Without DeFi, there wouldn't be without DeFi there wouldn't be GameFi in general. So DeFi and NFTs combined is it contributes basically to the NFT space. So in terms of like DeFi provides a large variety of infrastructure that enables the users to launch and trade their tokens or their NFT assets. And so there's different variety type of DeFi. You can definitely, we don't go I don't want to go too deep into DeFi because we're going to have also different modules covering it. But just to scratch the surface. So in DeFi, there's staking elements for NFT tokens, fractionalization, you mentioned it, Mahmoud, before. Mining liquidity and trading pools is similar, and then also governance tokens as well. So overall, with the growth of DeFi and with the growth of NFTs, actually GameFi overall gets also more and more popular. So those three elements, I would say, they are interconnected with each other. And without one element, the other element can't really exist when it comes to GameFi. Okay. So then we have GameFi rewards. What type of rewards are actually existing in GameFi? So there's also, again, a large variety of key elements when it comes to rewards. First of all, it can be cryptocurrencies. You can play a game, and by investing your time or progressing, for example, in a level, you can get rewarded from playing the game. It can be the native token of the game itself, or perhaps also other tokens as well. And the second aspect would be virtual land, which I'm personally very excited about. It's very connected with metaverse. Virtual land essentially means you can buy or sell land in a metaverse or in a GameFi project. So it allows you to build things on it, and it can be different things. For example, you can have a store, you can have some sort of like perhaps also mini gaming elements within your virtual land, and then that could be additionally monetized from your side. So you own the land, you build something on it, and if users come and, for example, enter your land, you could actually monetize that and then basically earn also additional rewards from that as well. The next element would be avatars. Yeah, I mean, profile pictures, but also 3D avatars as well, especially, of course, when right now, I mean, when you're playing a game, you most of the time, I would say, it's not just because of the game as well, but also there needs to be also some visual elements, right? You want to be identified with a certain character. So those type of avatars can be also, or are actually implemented in when it comes to GameFi as well. And then, of course, other things like weapons, costumes. There can be, in general, props. There can be many different type of elements, any type of elements. For example, let's say we are having a virtual land. We have buildings, and each part of the building, for example, could be actually also some sort of like represent some sort of like rewards actually as well. So yeah, those are pretty much the 4 key elements of GameFi rewards. Then ways to earn. Again, like there's different type of elements on how you can actually earn the rewards when it comes to GameFi. So first one, I mentioned it previously, is completing tasks. For example, quests in some games. You play, you accomplish a quest, and then you receive tokens or from that quest that you accomplished. Battling players, this is, I would say, maybe one of the most exciting elements actually of GameFi, especially when you have player versus player games. So you're competing against each other, and then the winner receives a reward. So especially when it comes to competitive gaming, this is something very interesting. There was just recently, there was a case with a big content creator. He develops his own GameFi project, and then he tweeted, "Okay, it would be very exciting when users get the chance to win large amount of incentives when they play against each other." That's true. However, I will dive in later on also into some potential issues with GameFi as well. So progressing levels, again, it's pretty much also similar to completing tasks. You can go from level to level, and then every time when you progress, you can get rewarded from there. building structures similar to metaverse, land, real estate. Yeah, or for example, if you can build your own mini games again, and then have your own elements within that project as well. Staking is one of the things. Basically, you put your NFT or tokens into the game, provide liquidity, and then from there you earn additional rewards. And then the last one is lending. So, for example, you have one in-game avatar, and or in a trading card game, you have a card. But for example, you don't have the time to play, so you can just lend it, so it's that someone else is actually going to play for you, and then from there you can have some sort of like revenue share, for example, between the person who's playing the game and you are actually the owner, but he plays the game and you just lend your asset or NFT to the user. So then the next element would be play to earn versus pay to play. So again, there's many different aspects, but let me run first through these two. So play to earn is players get rewarded by completing different tasks in general, and they own and control the in-game asset, and players can turn in-game assets into financial assets as well. And then on the other hand, we have pay to play, which refers also to the current classic existing revenue system in video games. So basically, you pay, and then usually you buy the copy of the game, and then from there you start playing the game. So this requires usually the players, again, buy licensing subscriptions or just do one-time purchase. Then the second aspect is also in-game assets have little to no values beyond the game. This is not always the case. There are also classic video games where still assets can be traded and has value actually, but nonetheless you're not the owner. So anytime when there is a traditional video game developer owns the game, so anytime when they want to shut down the game, and you don't have control over your assets in the traditional video gaming space. So there's of course also other aspects as well. There's free to play. So sometimes you can play for free. You can and then you can just basically play it. But on the other hand, there's also additional rewarding systems. And by the way, this doesn't mean that one system it can be only one system. So it can be also multiple systems at the same time. It can be, you can, for example, right now with blockchain games and GameFi projects in general, a lot of games, they are play to earn. So you play it and earn it. However, some projects, you need to pay in advance in order to be able actually to play the game. And this can vary a lot. It's also with so this different type of business models, I would say, and this type of models in general, it's still relatively new, the play to earn model, and therefore I think moving forward in the future, we will see how everything evolves actually from here. So Mahmoud, maybe also to bring you in, what do you think, what are the negative aspects for play to earn video games in particular?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we can also ask these questions to our users. So first, I want to say that we have around 856 viewers on Binance Live. So thank you for this. So in my opinion, so one potential concern I see with play to earn is that we basically, how should I phrase it? So that we basically incentivize game developers to design games that prioritize monetization over gameplay. So that instead of providing fun and making it like a good, engaging gameplay experience, we just focus, on making money, so to say. Another concern that I see is around the environmental impact of play-to-earn games. So some blockchain-based play-to-earn games, they rely on proof-of-work blockchain networks, which are highly intensive, energy intensive, and can contribute to carbon emissions. But yeah, that's my take on this.
Awesome. I would completely agree on that. And maybe to add one thing, especially for the first point you mentioned, with the current environment on play-to-earn games. So currently, I would also say with play-to-earn games, the quality of a lot of play-to-earn games are, I would say there's a lot of improvement potential, as you also mentioned. And I think this is something that hopefully in the future we will see that instead of actually really focusing, that developers focus on the monetization aspect, but actually that they focus on the gameplay. In the end, gameplay is really what matters. And I think there's still a lot of things ahead of time to come that we don't know yet. And another thing that I also want to mention for the risks in particular for play-to-earn games is because every time when there's a lot of money involved, there's also, right now, for example, with classical video games, there's bugs. People come and basically exploit the bugs, the system. And with blockchain games, the same thing can happen. So please be aware of that as well. So with play-to-earn games, those are really new in the market. And so every time, of course, when there's, for example, a tournament and users can earn money, so users will or certain people may find ways of exploiting the system as well. So just be aware of that as well. So okay.
Just a question from my side, Volkan. Sorry to cut you off. If we go back to the slide, what would you say are the negative aspects of pay to play? We covered now only play to earn. I think it would be also good to provide some insights on this for our users. For me, I would say it's just like, the entry barrier, so that people with less disposable income, they can participate. But what's your take on this?
So that's also a very good one. On one hand, yeah, you're absolutely right. Usually, the entrance to be able to pay to play games, usually on most cases is lower than play to earn games. However, that's not necessarily the case. There's also play to earn games. You can just directly get started without any pre-investment, but there's play to earn games. You need to invest huge amount of money in order to get started, actually. So for me, for pay to play, I think overall what is the biggest plus point in my opinion is, I think, the gameplay itself. So in the end, those are both video games. However, there's a huge quality issue in the game itself. So when you play, actually, you probably most of the time enjoy it more than currently play to earn games. The other aspect with pay to play games is you play, but you don't get rewarded in terms of monetary incentives. You might get rewarded with the game itself. You might enjoy it, but there's the pro aspect of play to earn is you get monetary rewarded. On the other hand, pay to play games, you don't get really rewarded for monetary aspects. So I think those are the downsides for pay to play. I think that's a very good point, Mahmoud, you brought up. So everyone needs to decide what suits for themselves best, but each system has their pros and cons for sure. Okay. So then let's go to the next one is, with GameFi. Also just previously mentioned just on the surface, but GameFi is still very, very new. That this is the reason why we are lacking so far behind when it comes to the quality of the projects. And it's just overall evolving. So not all blockchain-based games give you the complete control of your assets. I would say most of them, but you need to be certainly do your own research and due diligence in terms of like, what blockchain games, what type of control you have when you participate in GameFi project and blockchain games. So it's not always free to play. Again, like mentioned it previously. So there's sometimes games it's free to play, sometimes not. Depends really on the project itself. GameFi DAOs is one of the, I would say also one of the top very exciting things. It's also very new, very evolving. Not going to dive too deep into it today, but this is definitely something where users come together and can vote on certain things. So for just as an example, there's a DAO within a game, so with a governance token, for example, where users can actually actively vote and participate, and tell the developers in which direction the game should be developed. So not always. So with the decentralization and with the DAO system, actually, the users have not just more control in terms of the assets, but also they may have saying what to do with the game, what are the next development steps, what should be prioritized from a user perspective. So I think this is very, very exciting. I think most video games, they are in general, of course, trying to develop features or functions where users enjoy it. However, I think with the governance token and the DAO system, you have everything transparent on the blockchain, right? You see who's voting for what. So I think this is a very, very huge thing moving forward. We are still very early, but I think moving forward, it's going to be something very, very exciting to see how it's going to evolve. And then land ownership, again, it's with metaverses and where you can own, sell, trade land, which is also, I think, going to be very exciting when we are seeing how the overall space goes like in the future, right? We are still very early, but is it going to be really a big metaverse? Is it going to be, is the virtual world overall going to be something that's in years from now, that's going to be really something much bigger than right now what we think, because we are spending more and more time digitally, right? We work, most of us work on the notebooks, work digitally, social media. So we spend more and more time online. So it's also very exciting to see how that space goes as well. Okay, so the key elements of GameFi, I would say, so with the key elements, there's in general, of course, GameFi should be ideally a very entertaining product. And then on the other hand, there should be some financial incentives. So to combine those two elements. And definitely also, I think more and more projects and companies going to start build on exciting GameFi projects and products. So overall, I think I'm very, very exciting actually where the space is going to evolve. Maybe Ahmed, to you, what do you think actually from your side? So first of all, what is the most important aspect of GameFi? Most exciting aspect, actually, most exciting aspect for you when it comes to GameFi?
That's also like a good one. So I think it's basically the aspect that GameFi has the potential to create a more decentralized and more democratized, where players basically have their control over the digital assets. And another aspect is the financial aspect. So can basically reward income from the gameplay activities, and this can lead, in my opinion, to a more inclusive and diverse gaming community, as well as bring up like new opportunities for players to monetize their skills and talents. But this question we can also refer to the users we have. So please use the comment, the chat box that we have, and let us know what you think. What is the most exciting part for you guys about GameFi? So I can see here Ajim saying, hey, hello. Yeah, let's try to make it a bit interactive. But in the
Sure.
meanwhile, you can let us know as well, Volkan, what you think. What is the most exciting aspect for you?
I would say, so overall, I think I also agree with you, to be honest. I think for me, with GameFi, I think the financial, in the potentially being able to spend your time while you're enjoying playing a game, and then potentially actually being able to earn from that. So like one thing, like one of my backgrounds is actually also in video gaming. It's with competitive gaming as well, and so in with traditional video games, you can actually earn money with traditional video games. However, you need to be the top 0.000, probably a couple more zeros, 1%. So you need to be really, really, really good in order to be able to participate in big tournaments. And of course, not all the games have some sort of like reward structure or tournament structure. Whereas, for example, with GameFi projects, I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. But I think the overall economic system and the models that hasn't been yet figured out to make it really incentivizing and attractive for the overall masses actually to play, but at the same time to earn. So I think this overall really being able to do something that you like to do, playing games, and then at the same time actually being rewarded. I think this is something I'm very, very excited about. However, again, there's still definitely improvement potential as well with the economic incentives model as well that we are currently having in the market. Nonetheless, super exciting to see where we are going from here. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
So we have one more slide to go, right? A quiz question.
Yes. Should we go to it, or potentially maybe should we pick a question maybe from the audience? What do you think,
Yeah,
Mohammed? Or should we go?
sure, definitely. I'm checking currently, but a lot of people there are still jumping in. Hello, Iboro from Nigeria. Nice to have you here. So as you can see, Volcan is quite international. We have people from Turkey, Nigeria. Last time it was from Saudi Arabia. So please let us know if you have any questions. So we are more than happy to answer these.
Maybe also, Mahmoud, one thing you mentioned, just the audience is quite international. I think also with traditional gaming models where you need to actually pay in order to play, I think not everyone has the economic power to do so, right? If I'm living in a third world country where I don't earn so much money, but I would like to play a game, but I need to spend $50 to play a game. I think not everyone can do that, right? So of course, there's also different models again with free to play, but I think this is also something I want to point out. I think with decentralization overall, I think this is also something hopefully more and more people can actually enjoy across the board the projects with which has GameFi elements involved in it. Yes.
Sure, absolutely agree. There's one user saying, "Now let's do the quiz now," so we
Okay.
can maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go ahead then. So the last quiz, okay, for today. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Choose that applied to it. So GameFi refers to virtual metaverse games. GameFi refers to play-to-earn blockchain games. GameFi allows users to transfer their earnings for crypto wallets and trade them. GameFi allows users to stake their in-game token to earn rewards. GameFi allows users to be transitioned to a virtual universe. which one is the correct answer. Just type into the chat A, B, C, D, or E. Okay. I'm gonna give you 10 more seconds. Okay, let's reveal. So, multiple answers. GameFi refers to play-to-earn blockchain games. GameFi allows users to transfer their earnings to crypto wallets and trade them. And GameFi allows users to stake their in-game tokens to earn rewards. So the correct answer is B, C, and D. A little bit tricky one, but I hope someone got it right.
It should be a tricky one, Volkan, because last time we had some easy, straightforward questions, and we tried to increase the level of difficulty.
Awesome.
But yeah.
So, Mahmoud, shall we conclude today's workshop? Do you have any webinar? Do you have any last words you want to share with the audience?
Maybe it's great if we can tell them somehow how does GameFi develop in the next few years, or what's your opinion? Since you are an expert in this field and you have some work experience, maybe you can predict how the future might be. So what's your opinion on this?
Well, first of all, I'm not an expert in GameFi. I wouldn't call myself expert, but because the space is just developing so fast, right? With classical video games, I have a background on it. Nonetheless, with predictions, always a thing, right? Like you can be only wrong, I think, with predictions. So I'm not going to give any predictions, but what I think is gonna happen is definitely more and more projects. I mean, there's so many investment funds coming into the space, and more money flows into the space overall. So I hope we continue building the necessary infrastructure. First of all, I think we are still required to develop basic infrastructure levels. Like with DeFi now, we are evolving. I mean, GameFi, I think it's from 2018, I think was the first time matching. So we are just 5-6 years into it. So it's super early. I mean, if you compare traditional video games from the 70s, and then 5 years later, they didn't look also, I mean, they are very different from now, right? So I think in 30, 40, 50 years, who knows how long it will take, but hopefully the quality overall will increase. And I think also right now, to be honest, the player participation of GameFi, a lot of people are motivated by the incentives that they can earn. But I think the genuine player participation in terms of I want to jump in and want to play that game because the game is fun. I think once we are there, then I think GameFi actually is going to kick off really. But I think we are not there yet. I think most users, they come, jump in, want to play, receive rewards. But once you really enjoy a game, probably some users still enjoy it. Nonetheless, I think the quality overall, the quality needs to be improved. And once we get to the level where we can't recognize if it's a GameFi project or a traditional game, and once we have that user experience, that easy user experience, we just start, you just dive into it, you just play the game. No need to collect wallets, this and that, this complicated thing. So, and then I think, again, comes back to infrastructure and quality. And then I think hopefully we will see developing this space much more further from here.
Yeah, just thank you very much. Just adding a couple more things. As you've mentioned, GameFi, and just to wrap up as well, GameFi is a relatively new concept. So its future direction will depend on a number of factors, like you mentioned as well, technological advancements. It depends as well on the market demand, right? And regulatory developments. So I see GameFi could still continue, to expand into new areas beyond gaming, such as sports, entertainment, and social media. And this could lead to the development of new and innovative use cases for blockchain-based technology, as well as new opportunities for players, investors, and developers. So I think that was a nice ending. Or you want to add something, Volkan?
Yeah, maybe just one last short, real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned many different use cases. There's also many different aspects, social fi, and so I think the overall gamification of life, not just GameFi, but the gamification of life, of the things that we are doing, I think this is going to be also something what I'm personally very excited about as well. So yeah, don't want to further extend. I think we could keep talking about it. But yeah, from my end, I think that's pretty much it for today.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Volkan. Thank you very much for the people who joined us. We have now 1,200 viewers. So yeah, it was a pleasure to have this webinar with you guys. Next time, I think we will cover decentralization, right, Volkan? It's also a very interesting topic. Hope to see you there as well. And just lastly, we said at the beginning, marhaba in Turkey. What means bye? I didn't Google it, so.
Görüşürüz diye you can say görüşürüz actually.
Görüşürüz. Okay, all right.
Güle güle bir dahaki güle güle.
Güle güle. Thank you very much all, and see you next time. Bye bye.
And also remember to check out the Binance Academy website as well, and follow our YouTube, Twitter, to further receive informations on the courses that we are having. So it was a super pleasure hosting today's webinar with you, Mahmoud, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.